So, hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. I'm here with Axelle Kieffer, the artist behind our current collage collaboration exhibition, Paper Trail. And joining us are local artists Melanie Mills and Lisa Watson, whose collaborative works with Axelle are also featured in the show. Paper Trail presents collaborations between more than 20 collage artists from around the world, passing work back and forth, mainly through the postal service. These exchanges of art challenge the collaborating artists to interpret, expand upon, or completely change the initial ideas. There then exists a long-distance dialogue between two artists, sometimes more, where they encounter playful and surprising reactions to their contributions, pushing them out of their comfort zones. The exchanging and mailing of art also creates a sense of connectivity at a time of social distancing. All of the work in the show are pieces made in collaboration with and from the catalogue of Axelle Kieffer. As collage, these works include imagery harvested from all sorts of ephemera, postcards, magazines, recycled images, photographs, and any material the collage artist may have on hand, glued, attached, and sewn together by these paper trails. Again, thank you everyone for being here today. Axelle, would you like to start by maybe talking a little bit about the origins of the project and how you organized it?
Sure. Hi everyone. First, I would like to thank all the collaboration artists. It was a big honor for me to work with all those talented artists. I feel very, very lucky. Regarding this show, I would like to go a little bit of a backstory, how collaboration started on my side. So when I moved to the US, I started to do collaboration with a friend, which is an artist too, in my hometown in Strasbourg. It was a way for us to keep contact and to share work. And so we started to do collaboration. It was 2014, 2015. And we were very slow. Our timeline was very expanded. So we did like a piece took us 3 or 4 years to be complete. And in 2016 or 17, via Instagram, an artist contacted me and said, "Oh, your work is interesting, and you would like to do some collaboration? You have a group called the Flying Glue Book, and it's a group with a lot of collage artists participate. And if you want, I can introduce you to the group and see if you want to participate." I said, "Oh, sure, the idea is brilliant." And so I was introduced to the group, and a couple of artists say, "Okay, I can send you the book and you can do one of the 2 pages." And I started to meet all those collaboration artists. Like, this is really starting the Flying Glue Book project that things really accelerated. And then it's kind of snowballing. Like, artists asked me if I agree to have some starters, and then I had more and more courage to contact artists I like the work, saying, "Oh, I really like your work. Do you mind to do a collaboration with me?" And some artists are really friends, really good friends. Like we talk aside, we share ephemeras and papers, and yeah. So having all this collaboration project going on, I wanted to share the work because I find the result is pretty amazing. And the first idea I had of the show was more like a pop-up show, like in a house with like 15 or 20 work, like a small, pop-up exhibition. And more thinking of it, well, the first time I was thinking of it was about 2 years ago. And then I contacted a gallery in town, and the first date was in May this year. But with the COVID happening, we decided to postpone the show to October. Over the summer, this gallery will propose the gallery space for artist studios. So I didn't have a gallery, and that's why I contacted Studio Sulfur. Say, "Hey, this is my project. I would like to find a platform to share a platform to be able to talk about collage, collaboration, mail art, and of course none of the pieces are gonna be for sale because they're property of all the artists. But I found this subject very interesting, so I wanted really to share it. And Sulfur said, yeah, okay, we in. So that's why we at Sulfur Studio, and that's how all the project came to life.
Nice. Yeah, it's really amazing to see it all come together, and it's really cool that it just started out as a way to like keep in touch with artists that you know and connect with them, and then it evolved into collaborating with people that you like maybe otherwise wouldn't get a chance to because of like the nature of mail art. You can connect with people from all over the world. So
Yes.
it's really cool to see. So also joining us today are Melanie Mills and Lisa Watson. They're some of the collaborators featured in the show. So would either of you like to share maybe some of your initial thoughts about the project when you first heard about it, and how your individual practices might have informed your collaboration?
Oh, if Melanie, if you want to start, you might go see your pieces.
Sure.
Well, Axelle invited me to do this collaborative show, and I was very intrigued by the idea. I've never heard of anybody organizing something like that before, and I'm just so admiring of her as an artist. I was absolutely very flattered to be involved in this project, and I have started as a sculptor, and I still do sculptures. I used to do big room size installations and neon and all of that stuff, and as my space has gotten smaller, my work has gotten smaller, but I still kind of imagine myself as a 3D artist, and so I think I kind of bring those elements into collage, but my work has always had an element of kind of a political exploration, gender issues, environmental issues, social justice issues, and war and nuclear kind of issues. And that has continued, and I've used some of the same metaphors for decades. And so these are the pieces that Axelle started and I finished, and it was interesting for me because Axelle's work seems to always start with a figure, and mine always starts with a background. And I really hadn't noticed that before, that I kind of have the foundation, and how I kind of evolved with this work. How do I know when the work is starting to click and starting to happen? It takes me a very long time. It doesn't look like it takes a long time, but I can't really tell you about a particular process other than it's just time consuming, and then at some point, either cognitively or emotionally, it just starts to stimulate me, and then I'm on a pathway. So I think all of these kind of have a political statement behind them, kind of intuitively or unconsciously, or literally, and that's not necessarily true of the whole show, which are, if you could see the show in person, you would realize just how stunningly beautiful it is, and how well it's been received by the community. And everyone that has seen it is just knocked out by it. It's just beautiful, and it continues that tradition of collage that started, the beginning of the last century. And that's about it.
Thank you, Melanie.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting that it like challenged you to work in a different way because, as you said, you usually start with backgrounds. So having the figure already in there must have.
Yeah, and for the starters, I started with the figure, but I just glue them, not completely on the paper. So like this. Well, she had the chance to add a background and some more element
Okay.
to it.
I've also never worked this small before. So,
Oh,
you know,
really?
trying to get everything kind of fit into this, because I work larger, was also a challenge. But if you see Axelle's work, she works from very, very tiny to much larger, successfully. I would also say that one piece, it was starting to get really dark, and it was just getting darker and darker, and I had to just start all over again, and I got the whole thing knocked out in just a few hours because I really had to go in a different direction from being really kind of somber and dark to something that was more light and colorful and hopeful.
Mm.
So that was an interesting process for me.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is what is very interesting to collaboration, to me, is a confrontation to two different artists. Like, it's two different worlds, or even two different cultures coming from different countries that suddenly confront on the paper. And so the material source can be very different, and the world of the artist can be very different, and the practice too. And so it's very surprising and very challenging. And I don't know, it's very interesting journey, and I like the challenge and the surprise and the play for it. And yeah, it can take a long time because it needs to click. Suddenly you feel like it's clicking and the image take all sense. Like when I start a collage, I always kind of tell me to myself like a storyline. And to do collaboration is to start a story and to let the story go. And somebody pick up the story and finish the story. So it's a surprise to see where this is going to.
Yeah, that really beautifully answers my next question, which is just like, how do you know when it clicks, and what are some of the surprises that come along through the process? So, yeah, let's move on to Lisa's work.
Well, we could start with this one.
Okay.
Because this is where it all started for me. I met Sabine Remy at the Sulfur residency here. Was she here in 2019 or?
2019, like in January.
Okay.
January 2019, yeah.
And we clicked right away, and I would just come and hang out with her, and was completely amazed at the amount of magazines and books she had, because I am not a hoarder of magazines like our friend Axelle. And I also was talking to both of them when Axelle would come by about adhesive, because I use my collage work is with wood and metals, and I use construction adhesive, and I wanted to know more about archival glues, and Axelle told me about Nori, and it's changed my work to the better. It dries quicker, it's removable, it's really nice, and so I got to try it with this one, which Sabine sent this to me a few weeks after she got home back to Germany. And I was really surprised and honored and frightened because I had never done this before. And so when she sent this was covered up, and I had to pick, and I picked the feet. And so as you can see, I take paper and I manipulate paper. I don't necessarily use magazines. For the ones I did with Axelle, which are over here, I did decide, Lisa, get a few magazines, let's try it. And these were starter pieces that I did and handed them off to Axelle. Only about 2 to 3 weeks before the show. I was a little bit in the rut, and Axelle asked me to do this because I had lost my mom and I was feeling kind of depressed. So this was very therapeutic for me to not have to get all my construction materials out and just sit at my desk and work on these. It was a lot of fun. But I found old vintage cards, greeting cards, and played around with that. It's really, I think what I really enjoy about this is I feel like in the United States right now we're pretty isolated, and it's really nice to see all these cultures come together and to show the rest of the world that we can work with other countries. I promise you.
Yeah.
And the people, and it's, you know, with Sabine, I feel like we can stay connected artistically and as friends, and Axelle as well, while we're all in kind of isolation. But I hope to continue this, and you know, you never know. I might connect with one of these other artists, one in particular, Melanie, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very nice.
once you start to do collaboration, it's
Be
kind of
wonderful.
bad.
Yeah, then like
You cannot stop doing
Yeah.
more and more.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, what I like about the exchange of collaboration via the mail art too is
Yeah.
it really feels like it's keeping connected, and it's very important now in the time of social distancing. And I think especially this year I was kind of recluse, so I contact a lot of people and like, oh, do you want to do work with me? Like it was trying to keep sane in the right now.
Yeah.
But to know that work, travel via mail is like keeping work alive. It's like a very dynamic process, and the work, I don't know, I feel the work is very alive. It's like to share, and it's very outside the common market too. It's like very underground. I was surprised that a lot of people don't know about collage and know but less about collaboration. But it's so easy actually to start a collaboration. Just need to say, hey, do you want to start a project with me? We can try.
And it's cheaper because it's on paper, or I like the book covers too, which I had not even thought of, which I'm really intrigued. But yeah, to ship artwork is expensive, but this is not expensive. So this is a good way to work together.
Or it can be like very small size too, and it can be folded in an envelope. Or it can be bigger. They really like historic papers and ephemeras, and so, and what is great with, I don't know, I'm very lucky to work with those artists. They're like, at the same time they were sending back work, they were sending back papers like magazine or ephemeras. Oh, maybe you can use this for future. It's like a very feeling the sense of a global community. It's very stimulating. So it really brings me a lot of things for my personal practice.
I love this one. I just love how, you know, there's a fold, but then there's another fold. It's very sculptural.
Yeah.
And Axelle, this was one that you did collaboratively, where both of you worked on the same pamphlet,
This is the
and you each
unequal.
have one of these.
Yeah, this is the unequal twin book project, and this project was started by Sabine Remy. She found in a thrift store or like in an old used bookstore, I think, a series of this Insel Bücherhain book, and she has double. Sorry for the accent. And she has double the same book twice each time. So she contacted a bunch of artists and said, well, I have two of the same book. I start on one, you start on the other one, and we switch.
Oh,
And
cool.
you finish what I started, and at the end, each of us have a book.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's the one I have. yeah, is pretty. It was a very nice project, but I think it's still going on.
So Axelle, I know you like save a lot of materials. Do you typically save them for a long time until you find the perfect work, or do you jump in and they inspire you to make something right away? Or
Oh yes, I tend to be a pack rat, and especially with these books. So to go in a used bookstore is kind of Christmas for me, and I spend hours to find material source. It's very enjoyable. This part, like material source research, is very enjoyable for me. And I tended first to collect a lot of vintage medical book. I was attracted by all what is kind of old and medical, and now I'm collect all what is kind of vintage, and all this sit for years in my studio before I did anything with it. Often I get some material, I let sit for a couple of years in the corner of my studio, and then I'm like, oh yes, I have this, I can use this now. I need a lot of time to digest and process, but
I can relate to that, and as soon as I say, I've had something around the house for mixed media sculpture for a long time, and I finally say, I just have to let this go, I'm never going to use this. 2 weeks later, I have the brainstorm about where is that thing?
exactly.
I need it. So
Me too.
we can talk about the neo-exquisite corpses.
Mhm.
We started to talk a bit with Sabine and Lisa, and this is a group that is pretty active, and it comes from exquisite corpses that was very popular with the surrealists.
So are these done in the way where you just have the lines marking off where certain elements end, or do they get to see the whole
It depends on the
part?
artist. Sometimes I receive them. The other artist part is not hidden, and sometimes like Lisa, when she gave me her pieces, they was covered. Her part was covered. So like it depends. Like there's not like very strict rules, and I know like Alan Billy, an artist, he did the little book blend, and often this collaboration are like it started with the same image, and it sent the same starter to 20 or so artists, and everybody finished the same starters. So it gave like so this is a start from Alan, and it went to 20 different artists, so everybody interpret the star differently. So that's another kind of project.
Yeah, and there's like another element of surprise in there because they're not, until the book comes together, they don't all get to see everybody else's responses.
Yes.
So they're all really unique.
Yes. That was beautifully done.
I think the envelopes are fascinating because I received that envelopes from Sabine, and I was like, what is this? It's a work of art itself. And she's got her
stickers and
logo.
stamps.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm keeping everything, so even envelope and correspondence. And I started to add the envelopes in a show, and like all the paper cuts too. Like it adds like to show kind of the process of collaboration.
That basically describes Sabine's studio floor.
Or
Axelle's.
Yeah,
Well, Sabine too.
Yeah, that's come from my studio. And I don't trash any paper cuts. I keep everything. So after a while that I have tons of paper cuts on the floor, I can organize in boxes by shape and color or topics. And
that's a good idea.
but most of the time they're on the floor, and from those paper cuts, I don't discard them. I use them for other work. I think recycling is a big part of collage work too. Like to to collect all those old magazines and books. There's often, the first book I collected was discarded in Salvation Army. They were like for free in the towns and nobody wanted them. So, why nobody want them? I can do something with them. So it's important to recycle.
But yeah, it really helps tell the story to have these in here in the envelopes and the letters too. We'll go over to these for a second.
Yeah, the labels are instruction on specific project, or like, oh, okay, I started to work on your starters, or here new pieces for you to start to work on, and that's pretty much the routine of collaboration. And I add all those postcards and photos because yeah, it's all ephemeras that artists send in an envelope with the work. Yeah, so it's always like Christmas to have package and envelope.
It's wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, so my last question would be, what are some of the responses that you guys have heard so far, and what do you hope the response will be to the show?
So far, I think the response was pretty awesome and positive of the show.
Yeah.
Like people will be very surprised because, there's a lot of question about the process and how to start to do collaborations and for what I wanted to start like a very small pop-up show, I think this is way beyond what first I expected. I mean,
Yeah, it's really amazing. I love coming in here. There's something new to see every time because there's so much to look at with each one.
I also was at the opening, and even though there were only 10 people allowed in the gallery at a time, and everyone was practicing safe distance and masking and had a reservation, the people that were here were just, I think they didn't quite know what to expect, and they were just, it's kind of a joyful experience of being in something that's just so visually rich and just emotionally evocative. So I think people really enjoyed it because most people haven't been to an opening since February, and you know, for me the process was kind of a respite from all of the strangeness going on in the world right now, and giving me a place to kind of channel some of those kind of reactions, and I'm a firm believer that art heals, and that you know, artists have a big part in that, and I loved the kind of international aspect that people were collaborating from different parts of the country and the world, and coming up with something that was unique and beautiful.
Thank you, Axelle, Melanie, and Lisa, for being here today.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you for watching this episode of Sulfur Artist Talks. Sulfur Studios is a project of Arts Southeast, a nonprofit whose mission is to make Savannah a destination for art and culture in the Southeast by supporting established and emerging artists, engaging a diverse community with creative programming, and developing awareness and appreciation of the arts. This content is made possible by viewers like you. If you'd like to support our mission, please visit us at www.sulfurstudios.org to learn more. You can also reach out to us via email at info@sulfurstudios.org. On behalf of Sulfur Studios, I wish you well and hope to see you next time. Thank you.